welcome to Film Study Podcast with Lexi. I'm Lexi. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, rate the podcast, all those good things, all those good things. I am extremely excited. I know I say that for every episode, but I'm actually really geeking out right now to have Carrie Gutenberg on the podcast. Just amazing writer and co-producer for All American. She's written some bangers. She's written Prom. She's written a lot of the Cabin episodes. So really excited to talk to her about that. And Carrie, you're ready? Ready to hop into it?
Yes. Thank you so much. That's so nice of you. Oh my gosh.
Mean every word. Would love to just, first of all, I know I asked you this like at the top, but so the audience knows, how are you doing? How are things?
Things are good. I just finished set on season
Mhm.
6 yesterday.
Wow.
Right? It was so sad. We have one more episode to shoot, but it was so great to be on set. We have the best cast and crew and writers and
Mhm.
producers in the business.
Yeah.
And so, but I'm good. It was sad. It was sad to drive off the lot. I'm like, oh my gosh.
And it's such an iconic lot. I drive by it all of the time. I'm
Oh,
not far from it, so yeah.
it's the best. I've worked on a few lots, and Warner Brothers is by far my favorite. I mean,
Yeah.
it's got the Paquito Moss on there has the best steak burritos. The
Mm,
Starbucks is good. It's a good or lot to walk. You see fun celebrities. So, yeah.
yeah. I was doing, some background work for one time, and somebody was asking me like, "Oh, are you for Abbott?" And I was just like, "That's so weird." Like, just be like all of these iconic shows, and somebody's asking you if you're gonna be on
Yeah.
Abbott Elementary for the day. Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
that's amazing. Would love to know just like what did your journey to All American look like, to the Warner Brothers lot, to
Ugh.
getting to this iconic place and this iconic set with all of the great crew that you said.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely was a journey. I've always kind of been a writer. Like when I was younger, I would write emo poetry. And then I went to college and decided that I wanted to be a sports broadcaster. But we know how hard
Really?
that is. Yeah. So I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I'll do this. No, I'm not going to do this because I don't want to move to like Idaho to talk about
Hmm.
high school football for 10 years before I can come back to LA. And then I found UCLA Extension. And so I started
Hmm.
taking their writing classes and I fell in love with it. And I would go to the Writers Guild for when writers would speak. And I was there one time and somebody asked, like, how do you break in? What do you do? This was in 2010. And the writer was like, go to grad school. So that's what I did. I went to grad school. I went to Loyola Marymount. I got my master's in feature writing. At the time, their TV writing program, I think, was fairly new. And the first day of class, our professor was like, so what do you want to do? Because you probably won't make money writing features. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, 3 year commitment. Here we go. But I took a lot of TV writing classes, fell in love with it,
Yeah.
and then I graduated, and I got one of the best advice I've ever been given. When I graduated, and that was like everybody in LA has to commute. So people spend time in their car, right? And so
Hmm.
people can do a 10-minute phone call. Not everybody has time
Yeah.
for coffee or a meal, but a 10-minute phone call people have time for. And
Yeah.
so that's what I did. I asked people for 10-minute phone calls, and by crazy synchronicities, I ended up having knowing somebody who was a line producer on a show, and they needed
That's
a
amazing.
I know, it was crazy. And they needed a writer's assistant, and it was a half hour. So I did that, and then I script coordinated a show, and then I transitioned to drama. My dream was always to write like Gossip Girl on the CW. Like
Hmm.
I wanted to write a CW show. I wanted to write a Berlanti show. That was
Mm,
always my dream.
yeah.
And so I ended up on Rain, and I was a script coordinator on Rain for,
Yeah, I remember that show.
yeah,
My friend loved that show.
yeah, that was a good show. It was a good show. I was on season 3 and 4, and then I just bounced from drama to drama. As a script coordinator, I did 102 episodes of TV, 8 different
Wow.
series. Yeah, for 5
Wow.
years. Yeah. And then but one of the writers on Rain ended up creating All American, and we worked on the first season of You together, and
Hmm.
she brought me on as the script coordinator, and then when Nkechi took over, she was like, I want to read you. So I sent her something. And season 2, she let me co-write the finale with her, and then staffed me
Which is a
season.
great finale. It's still to
It
this
was
day
so
such a good
fun.
finale.
That was a good one. Yeah, that was fun. I had just had a baby. It
Oh my
was
goodness.
yeah, yeah.
And
She
you're
was
writing great things like the arm.
my goodness. Oh my goodness. But yeah, so and then I got lucky enough to be staff season 3 and here I am.
That's amazing. How is
Yeah.
that? How does it look like with you as a co-producer now? I know you mentioned like script coordinating. So how is your time as a staff writer and then that journey evolved?
Yeah, I think one of the benefits of being support staff for so long is I got to see how a lot of different showrunners did things. I got to see how a
Hmm.
lot of different writers did things, how they interacted with support staff. And the wonderful thing about All American, and I'm not saying that any other show I've worked on hasn't been like this because I've worked with really lovely people, but the one
Hmm.
thing about All American is there's this really familial vibe. Like everybody's a family, everybody's equal, everybody's voice matters, and it's really beautiful because I didn't feel uncomfortable when I became a staff writer. It felt like,
Hmm.
oh, I'm blessed to have a seat at the table that I've been wanting to have a seat at forever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a pretty easy transition. The industry is a little old school where it's like staff writers, maybe have one good pitch a day and then stay quiet. But that's not how our room
Right.
is. Our room is everybody should contribute. So
Hmm.
it was comfortable. It was the best I could
Yeah.
ever wish
That's
for and hope
amazing.
for.
You're making me think about this book. I do not want to butcher the name, but Nicole Levy wrote it, and it's like How to
Okay.
Survive in a Writer's Room, and it's
Oh
like
no,
that.
yeah.
So you're saying similar things. And I've talked to a couple of people, and yeah, this is a common theme that like All American is a very unique, very special set.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, and I don't say even as if they shouldn't, but even support staff is encouraged to
Mm-hmm.
participate. If you have a good idea, say it, live with
Yeah.
these characters. And there is no better, like I love what getting my master's degree gave me because that gave me structure and form and habits, right?
Mm-hmm.
It helped me create those things. But there's no experience like being in a writer's room,
Yeah.
being a writer's assistant, being a script coordinator, and being allowed to sit in the room. Because I've worked on shows where the room hasn't physically been big enough for me to sit in,
Right. Yeah.
or it wasn't kind of kosher for script coordinators to sit in the room.
Yeah.
And it's just a master's class every day.
Yeah. I love
Yeah.
that. I love that.
Yeah.
I know a lot of my writer friends are gonna love hearing these answers from you.
Oh, no.
Um, uh,
Good. Good.
I want to ask, what's challenging? It's 6 seasons. 6 seasons in, you became sort of a full staff writer at season 3. So, what's challenging about writing for a show 6 seasons in?
You want to keep things fresh. You want to make sure the characters evolve. And another thing that All American has taught me as a writer is how to write grounded stories, right?
Hmm.
So um that's what we relate to,
Hmm.
and I mean, I love genre more than anybody. I love witchy vampire-y stuff because you can play with the world, but as long as the characters are grounded, you will believe in them and you'll believe in the story
Yeah.
they were telling, right? And so All American is just like that's what it's such a grounded form of storytelling. And
Hmm.
so it's keeping those stories relevant, keeping them grounded, keeping up with our audience and who they are
Yeah.
as they evolve over time. I mean, 6 years is a long time. Like,
Yeah.
there are people that watched us at 13 that are now 19, or, people that were 7 when we aired that are now 13 that are catching up, or, whatever the ages are.
Yeah.
Or people in their 40s and 50s that get to watch with their children. I mean, some of the most heartwarming things I've heard are the stories of like the mother son that get to watch the story and they identify with Grace and Spencer. So I
Yeah.
don't know that there's hard stuff because you want to keep it fresh and you want to keep the storytelling engaging and interesting, which is
Hmm.
any plight of any writer, of any show, of any
Yeah.
movie, of any theatrical performance.
Right.
But yeah, it's such a blessing to be able to know these characters so well and to be able to continue to get to know them.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's excellent. Uh, that's amazing and so true. And yeah, just really focusing on the grounding, and then it'll like everything will work itself out eventually.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I mentioned it up at the top, but you've been responsible for a lot of really great group centered episodes, and I think sometimes they're hard to do, or a lot
They're
of times
so
they're
hard.
hard to do.
They are so
Well,
hard.
that's what I'm gonna say. So what about those episodes excite you? I think season 3, the cabin episode, which I think was like your first one as a full staff writer, which by
Hmm.
the way, to this day, I'm like infamous for saying that's my favorite episode ever.
Oh, all right, all
I
right.
really love that. I really love
It
that.
was a fun one.
Yeah. So that one, the prom episode,
Oh,
this past cabin episode blew my mind. I could say so many things about that, but like, what about these episodes excite you?
yeah. So the first cabin episode, season 3, that was episode 6. That was really daunting because it's like I came off of co-writing the finale season 2, and I get thrown into this bottle episode, which is hard
Hmm.
enough. And for those of you that don't know what a bottle episode is, it's where you use all of your own sets for the episode, so you don't go out on location. And the cabin is a set that we have on the Warner Brothers lot. And then so many secrets had to unfold and come out in that
Yes,
episode. And writing game night, writing games is, I don't even know, like one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. So that was really daunting. I probably even called NK at one point and like, and at one of our other EPs, and just was like, I don't know. I don't know what to do. How do I do this?
but
Um,
it came out wonderfully,
Thank you.
and
Yeah,
it led into Vegas so well,
it
which
did. No,
was
yeah, it was.
huge, huge, obviously.
Totally. Yeah, yeah. It was a really fun episode. And then you know, prom prom was fun. Prom was writing with Micah. I love Micah. He's one of my like work
Love him
besties.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I know you've interviewed him. Yeah, he we we had so much fun writing that. Again, I was
Mhm.
pregnant again, breaking that episode. So I'm in the room. I'm like, let's get this off the board. We got to go. He's like, why are you hurrying? You need to slow down. Like, what's happening? And I'm like, well, I'm pregnant. And he was like, oh, okay. He's like one of the first people I told.
That's
And
amazing.
then yeah, and then the hardest episode I've ever written was the Billy's birthday roast, which was season 5,
Oh
episode
yes,
8.
which is so good. With a
I'm
lot of rom-com references.
I'm a huge rom-com fan. I love rom-coms. But also I'm not stand-up comedy funny. Like I
Mhm.
can be like funny in the moment of a character thing, but I'm not a comedy writer. And
Yeah.
so I don't know why I did that to myself, because that was just like leaving it all on the page. And it came out. So I mean, we have wonderful EPs on our show that help
Hmm.
us, that give us notes or will talk things through with us. And
Yeah.
Harrow and Strauss, who I know are
Yeah.
fan favorite writers,
Yeah. Yeah.
they gave me notes on
Mike
that
and David.
episode. They're the best. And so they're really funny. They write some of our funniest episodes. So
Yeah.
they helped with that. But yeah, and then the cabin episode this season, which it's so crazy. I was like, I don't know. Like I don't know about the script. I don't know about this episode. And then we started shooting it, and
Really?
yeah, and everybody was like, this is my favorite episode you've done. This is such a good episode. Da 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 da. And I was like, wow, it's so funny when we think we haven't, it's not our best
Yeah.
work. Um, but they proved me wrong. And then the director Charles just shot the hell out of it, and
Yeah.
it came out so well. And I'm so
It
proud of it.
did. I
Yeah.
again, I, my favorites change every now so often, but like season 3 cabin is up there, but season 6 cabin is it might upon reflection it might trumpet a little because it was, and allow me the second to nerd out, but it was your ability to, I feel like it started at an emotional high, like it started with
Hmm.
tension, and then we didn't get that release of tension
Yeah,
till the end, and
I
then
know.
obviously then it was then we got the cliffhanger at the end, but that's so different than I think how All American generally operates, and it was,
Mhm.
it was, yep. I've obviously looked a lot into these episodes and a lot about how they're written and things like that, but it was just so unique and so different than what we get on a week to week basis that I was just like, oh, Carrie, you've done it again. You've done it again.
Thank you. That you are too kind. Thank you. I'm really proud of that episode. Writing about relationships is from grad school. Like that was like my thing. Like, when people say, what kind of writer are you? What do you like to write? And you're like, oh, I
Mm-hmm.
like thriller or crime or procedural. Like, I just want to write about relationships in any form. And that can be
Yeah.
sistership. That could be mother-daughter. That can be love,
Yeah.
unrequited love. Like, so that was a really, really, really special episode for me to be able to break and write, and I was really grateful they trusted me with it and let me do it.
Yeah. It turned out great. With that, and it being like we've been talking about, like sort of group centered episodes and how they can be challenging and how they're really relationship focused. And a lot of the work that you do, I see that come through the relationships focus. How do you deal with like last minute script changes? Like when you're juggling, is I think it's like it's no secret that All American has a lot of storylines going on at once, and you all handle it greatly. But how do you deal with those last minute changes when there's like sometimes ripple effects?
Yeah, I think being a script coordinator really prepared me for that because
Hmm.
that's my job. If last minute changes come, I have to read them, make sure they make sense, and track and proof them and format them, and then get them out to everybody.
Yeah.
And so we had stuff like that the first couple seasons. Obviously, the pandemic season 3 was tough because if somebody got COVID, they'd be out
Right.
for the whole episode, and so that was very challenging, much more challenging for NK and Johnny and Jamie and all of our EPs to have to deal with. But
Yeah.
um yeah. So but now, I mean, season 6, there aren't a lot of huge changes. We kind of
Hmm.
know what works. We know what's going to work for the characters, but we've lost like guest actors or things
Hmm.
like that, and it it just happens and you write around it. And the one
Yeah.
beauty of having an ensemble cast, and I mean having a big cast, and having a slew of people that have been on the show that we've established, is that you can kind of rotate them in and out as you need them.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. That's true. And R.I.P. to Kamar, because that's yeah.
Oh gosh, that was so sad. He was such a nice guy.
Hmm.
That was really sad, and I
Yeah.
just wish his family so well. He was such a bright light on our set.
Yeah, and I think that like the way that it's been written into the show and like I think written around in the show has been really like just a really wonderful tribute. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a really nice our show is really good about honoring people. I don't know.
Hmm.
There's been some
Yeah.
really beautiful moments, and so I look forward for everybody to see what goes on with
I
him.
know, especially since the 100th episode is around the corner. We're not talking about
Oh,
that.
how? I can't even believe it. I cannot even believe it's the 100th episode.
I know, crazy. But with now we're getting to your favorite thing is relationships. You've written a lot of great romantic moments, a lot of great,
Thank you.
memorable romantic moments for the two most, I'll say, the most popular couples. So there's no fighting between the Spelivias and the Jordaylas in my comments.
Oh my gosh. Sometimes I'll go into the comments and I'm like, uh-oh, I should get out of here. Because I don't have Twitter, so I'll go on Instagram and I'm like, what's
Just
happening?
scrolling. Oh my god, people have opinions. People have opinions. I mean,
They,
so
you
so
know
do I.
what?
So do I.
But that's great because that means you're engaged in something and you care
Yeah,
about characters. Like that's the job of a writer, is to make people
yeah.
care about characters. So
Definitely. To
keep
make the characters
talking.
real. Yes, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. These I can confirm these characters are very real for a lot of people.
I love it. I love that.
So what do you love about writing for Spelivia, Spencer and Olivia?
Well, first of all, they are phenomenal actors and human beings.
Yes.
So
Yes.
being able to write for people that are really cool on and off camera is, I mean, a dream, right? And then they, as well as we know the characters as writers, like they've lived the characters for 6 years.
Hmm.
And so they
Yeah.
always add their own little flair to it.
Hmm.
Daniel who plays Spencer, is incredibly funny. So is Sam, who plays Olivia. And
Yeah.
they're just fantastic. As far as their relationship goes, they've had so many obstacles, so many things have gotten in their way. And it feels like the odds are kind of stacked against them, but for whatever
Hmm.
reason, their love keeps overcoming everything, and they are always brought back to that initial, like, from the moment I saw you feeling. And
Yeah.
so writing for that kind of love, like, I mean, it's great. It's
Yeah.
wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah. What would be your, if you have one? I feel like this would be hard, but what would be your favorite moment that you've written for them? If you could share, I don't know if it's like
The
past. We'll say
the
past moments.
the no, I can share. The fans are going to hate me for this. I will. They're
Oh
going to hate
no.
me for saying this. And it was in 501. The favorite moment that's been in an episode of mine is when they broke up, because it was in 501.
Ludicrousness.
Yeah. It was so, like, the set was just crickets. Like, it was
Mm,
so sad. I think
yeah.
I think we cry. I think all of us were crying. And I don't say that I love that moment because I want them to be broken up. I obviously want them to be together. They're our hero couple. But
Hmm.
um the way that the two of them embedded themselves in that moment and those feelings was magic to watch. And I think that
Yeah.
that's one of the most rewarding things as a writer, is watching the actors, because you could do all these fun scenes and 100 episodes, like, there's storylines that are more campier or like not as
Yeah.
serious or whatever, and then you watch them do these serious moments and they play out these real life scenes, and it's so moving.
Yeah, yeah, both of them do an excellent job. I remember, and it's just like it was also what they needed at the time, in my opinion, was to
Mhm.
break up and to have just some time, um, again, for Spencer to focus on football with everything that they had going on, and Liv to really focus on her book and really pursue something that we've been like trying to see her step into herself,
Yeah.
and she got the chance to do that in season 5. So yeah, no, that was an excellent one, and Sam and Daniel just knocked it out of the park.
They nailed it. They nailed it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. I always say this, but Sam in particular, like I don't cry often, and Sam just like has that face like when she's crying that makes you want to
That
cry.
makes you wanna cry. It's totally true. My eyes tear up. I know. My other favorite moment is at the end of 606, which was the episode this season when she goes to him and it's like a 4-minute scene or something, and she
Hmm.
owns that her relationship with Ashley was she should have put a stop to it, set boundaries
Yeah,
and everything. And that was again crickets on set watching them. I
yeah,
mean, I think the originals, I don't know how long it plays in the episode, but it was like a 4 or 5 minute scene. And we were
yeah.
just like, I didn't breathe like the whole time
It,
they were like,
it was that one,
oh,
and then it was the scene where Spencer confronts her, and
that
it
scene
was
too.
just like so. This past episode 6 was just, yeah,
Thank
it
you.
was
They
amazing.
are so willing to go deep as actors and
Hmm.
characters to get those magical moments, and it's really cool to
Hmm.
watch. So yeah.
Definitely, definitely. And then on the other side, Jordan and
Oh,
Layla,
I love
love.
them. I love them together. I love writing for them. Michael and Greta are phenomenal human beings as well. We have
Yeah,
such a talented cast all around, seriously, and they're just all really nice, cool people. But yeah, I mean, they are so fun to write for.
yeah,
They play off each other so well. They
so
find the
well.
comedy and the humor, and they don't take their relationship too seriously. Where like
Yes,
Spencer and Olivia have been dealt a lot of serious cards,
exactly.
they have to take their relationship seriously. I think the fun of Jordan and Layla is like they know they love each other. Like, yeah, they had some obstacles, but
Yeah,
not terrible
exactly,
stuff,
exactly.
and they're fun. They're so fun.
They
Uh,
are so fun. And
yeah.
again, and you find a lot of like rom-com, again, a lot of rom-com hits with them,
They,
like, specifically.
yeah, they are definitely like the fun, like my rom-com couple for sure. I always tell them, I'm like, you guys are just like, I mean, they just so fun.
The better the leading line, or the
Oh,
you have 8 different facial expressions, how to lose a guy, oh, no, how to win a date with Tad Hamilton, like so many good.
yep. I mean, again, I'm a huge rom-com fan, and I mean,
Me too, that's why I noticed it. I'm like,
well,
I got it.
while you were sleeping was one I watch it every
Yeah,
Christmas. It's one of my
yes.
favorite movies of all time, and I'm like, oh, Jordan has to do a lean. This has to be a lean. Like it
I
has
love
to.
it.
Yeah.
I love it. So what's been some of your favorite moments for Jordan and Layla?
Oh my goodness, that's a good question. I liked I hate when they fight. 606 was hard. That was hard. Oh my God, what have been some of my favorite moments for
But I
them?
also love when they fight because they're so they're so
Prom
petty,
they are so petty. I love
but
it.
they're
I love
also
it.
so honest, and it's like so great. They're just gonna tell each other straight. It was
I
just
know, it's so
hilarious.
good. I loved Prom. That hallway scene where they were dancing was really beautiful. They've had some nice stuff in the recording studio. I'm trying to think of like one. We're gonna end this interview and then I'm gonna be like, oh my God, that was
You're
the
gonna think of
storyline I
all of
should
the ones.
have. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But prom
Um,
was prom was excellent. I have to say, especially because it was you all were still hinting. The writers were still hinting at this.
yeah,
I think, and this is
yeah,
when everybody was just like, "Oh, it's happening! Oh, it's
yeah.
happening!"
The dance scene in Prom is
Mhm.
like I put that song on. It was the best. I put that song on all the time and I just think about like shooting that. That was so much fun.
Yeah,
And they had to
yeah,
do that a lot. They did so many takes and it was so good.
so
I
good.
really liked Layla and Jordan as a team in 513, which was the episode where Olivia feels like she's going to relapse and she
Yes,
goes
day
to
one. How
them.
could we not talk about day ones?
I
Yes,
know, yeah. You are
that
so
was
good
an
with the names.
amazing.
I couldn't tell you the names of anything. I'm like the one where there's a
It's a lot of
roast.
practice. I've been doing this podcast for like 3 years.
You know what's funny? As a script coordinator, your brain just changes. Your brain chemistry changes and you remember everything.
Yeah,
Absolutely everything. Because you read everything, you hear everything, you
yeah,
see everything. You're the middleman between production and the writers.
right.
And the second I stopped being a script coordinator, I
You're
don't
like, I
retain
just
any.
forget it.
They're like, Carrie, because that episode in season 2, I'm like,
This is a
no.
sign that maybe I need to be a script coordinator. Is I'm like, oh yeah, the
It's a good
detail.
foot in the door. It's a good way to
Good
get
foot in
in.
it.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, that 513 was so heartbreaking.
So heartbreaking.
Another great scene was Spencer and Olivia on the Ferris wheel. That was a beautiful scene. But
Yeah,
anyways, that
yeah.
that whole episode was, yeah.
Amazing. And I listen, I'm obviously I'm known for liking both of the couples. I think I'm more known for liking Jordan and Layla, even though I love both of them. I love both
Sure,
of them.
sure.
And I was talking to the audience that I know is gonna be like, oh, they come for me sometimes too.
Oh no.
But the what was I gonna say? I also like more than the couples. I love Layla and Olivia's friendship, which I think it's a lot of flack.
Yes.
But I think that through their challenges, they always find a way. They have so much history, and they tend to move past it. They tend to work through it, and so
Hmm.
that scene at the top where Liv goes in the room and asks both George, she's just like, I need both of you. Like that means
Yeah.
so much to me. The scene, like the obviously it was like a montage sequences, but it was like
Hmm.
very yeah continuous sequence, I should say.
Hmm.
But Layla and Olivia in the bathroom, it was just like
Uh,
it hit me deep. It hit me deep.
Absolutely. I mean, how many of us can say that we've had friends that long, that we've known
Mhm.
since childhood? I mean, maybe a lot. I don't know. I'm lucky enough to be from LA, so all my friends are still here, but
Yeah.
not everybody gets that. And then also, like, the importance of having a safe and deep female friendship is
Yes.
so underrated. Like, female
Yes.
connection is so important.
Yes.
And I love that they are a good example of that. And again, they've had their setbacks and their highs and lows. What relationship doesn't? But they are sisters. At the end of the
Yeah.
day, they're sisters before they are even sisters for anything. Like
Exactly. Exactly.
that's it. Yeah.
I agree. I concur. I concur. And another great, because you talk about Jordayla too. Another great moment that I love that you wrote was in the Billy's roast episode,
Hmm.
and they come together at the end, and I was so shocked, but it also was it was shocking but not surprising that like that phrase. But when Layla apologized first and she says I'm sorry, and they both apologize, and then they
Hmm.
say like, oh, whatever the challenges we have, we'll deal with it together. It was so funny because it's just not something that I expected Layla to do, and I was just like, don't apologize to this man.
I know. Sometimes we have to apologize even when it's not our turn, right?
Not our turn. And that's what I was just like, they have this ability to like, they would rather be at peace with one another than like
Yeah.
right, or be right, which is, I think, a great hallmark of their relationship.
Yeah.
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 I
And in
wonder
life
if,
too.
oh, go ahead. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And in
And
life
in life, I
too.
mean, like, like you're successful together if you work together, not against each other, right? So,
Yes, for
yeah.
sure, for sure. Has there ever been a time where these characters have like written themselves and surprised you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, so my process, I do like a shit draft. It's like metaphor. Um, I do a shit draft. So we go from story area, which is basically like a condensed version of what's going to happen in each storyline, and then we
Hmm.
outline. So the outline is every beat, right?
Yeah.
And I take the outline and I put it in final draft, and then I will literally, like, if it says, like, I'll leave the action line, and then whatever the dialogue is, like Jordan walks in and says hello, I'll just write Jordan hello. That's not how
Hmm.
I would do it normally, but I do that shit
Yeah.
draft because then it's on the page, and then I can go through and I kind of let the scenes take control. Like how would Jordan come in and say hello? How would Layla
Yeah.
come in and say hello? And that's my actually one of my biggest advice to people that write or want to write TV. It's like, if you can't figure out how your characters are different in their speech, like, take a line like how are you doing,
Yeah.
and write it in each character's voice
Yeah.
differently. And so yeah, absolutely. They definitely, I mean, the leaning thing with Jordan, like, that was just like,
Yeah.
that is such a Jordan thing. It just happened. It just literally, I was just like, brrr, and it
I
just
loved
happened.
it. Yeah, so
So,
much
so yeah.
subtext. Yeah, I could say a lot
Or
about that
like,
list.
like a quirk will come out, and I'm like, because I like adding in the little like nuggets of like character quirks.
Yeah,
I'll never forget in like Burn Notice. I don't know if you remember that show. It was on
I do.
USA.
Yeah.
Like, he ate yogurt a lot. Like, he really loved yogurt, and that always
That's so
stuck with
funny.
me because I was like, oh, I know when he goes home he's going to go to the fridge and grab a yogurt. And it made
Yeah.
me feel like I'm in on his life. And so I love adding those character nuggets in. And so yeah, sometimes I'm like, oh, they're really bad at doing laundry, or like, I don't
Yeah.
know, just whatever, or they aren't a
Exactly.
handyman, or I don't
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's amazing. I love that. I think one of Jordan's quirks, like, to come through with the writers and with Michael, is being obsessed with Layla's hair. Like,
know.
it's just
Yes, constant, so funny.
constant.
Yeah, yeah.
Almost every single episode, and I love it because it does feel like these characters are lived in, like they have lived full lives, and that, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, so
And
it's really great.
a lot of times they'll add stuff like a little kiss on the collarbone.
Hmm.
That's not
Yeah.
scripted,
Yeah.
that's because they've found their groove in a relationship, their
Yeah.
TV relationship, and they let it lead.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So so many great
That's so
things.
fun.
I know that we're in a little bit of waiting period right now with the news of
Yeah.
potential season 7 renewal, or the other way. But do you feel like all of the central character stories, so Spencer, Jordan, Olivia, Layla, do you feel like they have like a satisfying ending? I know we've seen reports of like, I think NK has talked a lot about how, this season 7 can work as a series finale. We don't want it to be a series finale necessarily, but like it could. But do you feel like those characters have satisfying endings?
Yes, I do. Absolutely. I mean, we have really put everything into telling all of their stories. That being said, the beauty of storytelling is you can always change it and keep it going. So,
Yeah,
satisfying endings, yes, but also there's always more to tell.
room
Like,
room to explore. Yeah,
yeah, the only real
yeah.
ending is death. I know.
That's true. That's true. That's so true.
So, sorry,
Um,
not to get dark, but
it's like but it's all circling back when you said like I first started writing like emo things in my journal when I was a kid.
I haven't changed much since I was 8, 9, 10. I woke up in the middle
That's
of the night
amazing.
last night and started writing a poem in my phone at like 4 a.m. I'm like, go to bed,
That's
Carrie. Go to
amazing.
bed. Like, sometimes it wakes me up, and then I'm like, if I don't write this down, I'm never remembering
Yeah,
it.
yeah, but that's so cool. Poem. So
So
you write
funny.
poetry too.
I do, yeah. I've had a lot of grief. I've lost both my parents.
Hmm.
I lost my
I'm
mom
sorry to
only a
hear
year
that.
ago. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I lost my mom only a year ago unexpectedly. And so that's taken a toll on my heart.
Hmm.
So sometimes the grief is loud and it wakes you up and you want to write about it. And so
Yeah.
that gets me up at night. But I do love poetry. I think that using words to make people feel something. I mean, that's what writing is, right? Using words to make people
Yeah.
feel
Yeah.
and think
Yeah.
and evolve and grow
Definitely.
and learn and all that.
Definitely. And I feel like, I mean, this past episode where we got that like Billy's return obviously was really big, but
Oh,
just like grief and Layla dealing with her mom. Oh my gosh. It was
yeah, I know.
that episode's
I know.
just stuck with me for sure
Yeah, that
because
was a
it's so
tearjerker for
yeah,
sure. Abby's a great
definitely.
writer, the writer of
Yeah.
that. She's wonderful. We have
Yeah.
such a wonderful room of writers. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it's just, talk about another season. Like, I hope we get it. And then,
Me too.
like, I hope that we can all stay together forever
Yeah.
somehow.
No. Agree. Um what is something that you're excited for? I heard that too. I'm assuming that you have another episode coming up this season that you're writing.
Yeah.
Anything that you can tell us without giving too much away, but anything you can tell us about what we
No.
should look forward to? No.
You should just look forward to the
We should
episode.
just look forward to it. We should just
Uh-huh.
look forward to it.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
I got to write with Micah again though, and we wrote Prom
Oh,
together.
cool.
So I could tell you that much, I
Nice.
guess. Yeah.
Okay,
So
cool.
Micah and I
Nice,
got to do
nice,
this
nice,
one
nice.
together. And that's always fun. So
That's exciting. That's exciting. Cool. But no, thank you so much for your time. I have one last question
yeah,
for
yeah.
you. Okay. Again, you're a big rom-com fan. I'm a big rom-com fan. I assume that you're a big rom-com fan, so I had this question already in my
Oh no.
mind.
Okay. I hope I can do it justice.
What is your go-to rom-com for like just writing? Like you're like, this is what it means to write a rom-com.
Oh,
And
this is
then
a
I
good
have another
question.
like, what is your favorite rom-com? Just your comfort rom-com.
Oh my gosh, this is a good question. How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, I thought was a really fun.
Mm,
I love that rom-com. Oh my gosh, this is a really good question. Um, I loved The Proposal. I mean, Sleepless in Seattle. I mean, I could just keep going
the
down the
list,
list.
yeah. Yeah.
Obviously, While You Were Sleeping, I loved too because that's all about loneliness, and
Yeah.
it's so easy to feel lonely this day and age, even though
Yeah.
we're all
For
connected.
sure. Yeah.
um, I'll watch any of those. I mean, I probably have a list of 150 that
Yeah.
I love. Right now, though, currently, I'm obsessed with Anyone But You. I
Really?
I know. I have watched it, and I'm not kidding. I've
My
watched it 20.
non-neutral opinion comes out and I'm like, are you serious?
Everybody has that reaction except for my sister and I, who are like, it's like, how he has a Serenity song in it? Like, it's my
Yes.
Serenity rom-com. For
Oh,
instance,
that makes sense. That makes sense though.
I realize what I like about it is it's bantery, it's a little unexpected, it's got great music, which I think great music can
Hmm.
set anything. It's a beautiful location.
For sure.
Glenn Powell is easy on the
He's fun.
eyes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd watch him watch paint dry.
Yeah.
And so I liked a lot of things about that, and I liked the humor and the set pieces. So I realized like my
Hmm.
rom-com likes kind of center around that. That being said, I just finished The Idea of You last night with Anne Hathaway.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That one broke my heart. Like, that's a
Yeah.
sad rom-com. And while I thought it was well acted and well done, I realize I'm more of the set piece kind of
Yeah. Yeah.
comedy, fun rom-com.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Mine is like oddly
Yeah, what is
uh
yours?
like but I would say my comfort, wouldn't necessarily point to this for writing, but my comfort is it's complicated and I don't know why. It's just something about
Oh,
Meryl Streep, Steve Martin, like just it's so fun. She's like older and it's like exploring like later in life after divorce. I don't know. It's really fun to me and I also
yeah.
really love The Proposal. There's so
Proposal is
many.
good.
There's so
There's
Two
so many,
Weeks
which
Notice is underrated. I just recently
2 weeks
rewatched that.
notice. Oh my gosh. You make me
Sandra
want to
Bullock is
Google
great.
like all the rom-coms to ever exist. And I'm
I'll
gonna
say
yell
when
out
Harry Met Sally, when I was just like, oh,
another one.
this makes sense. Why this is like, I'd say that like, for writing, that's where I was like, you learn so much about writing watching When Harry
Okay,
Met
10
Sally.
things I hate about you. We forgot
Yes, and which
Clueless.
was the reference, right, for with
Yep,
the Billy roast.
Clueless. I mean, I saw that like
Clueless.
3 times in the movie theaters. You've Got Mail.
Oh,
Oh my
you've got
gosh.
mail, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, there's a lot of older ones that are really good. Yeah, While You Were Sleeping, that one, Sleepless in Seattle. Anyways, yeah. So there's so many
That's
good
good.
ones. It's endless.
I
It's
love that.
endless.
I love that. Also, because you brought up 10 things that I hate about you, I actually have a random additional bonus question for you.
Okay, great.
Your opinion as a writer, I want to get it because I have my own thoughts.
Yeah.
Did Layla have a crush on Jordan when she was younger? Because she called him cute. She said you were always the cute one.
Yes, maybe like the best friend's brother type crush where he was fun to play make believe wedding with, and like maybe they like flirted, but then he probably got annoying and nerdy, and like,
Yeah.
Olivia wouldn't let him in the
And
room
Olivia
and
was just like, my
get
brother,
away from
my
me.
brother.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. I'm a firm like they both had a childhood truther,
Yeah.
and it was
Yeah.
confirmed. It was confirmed for Jordan. Just waiting for my Layla confirmation.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think so. I would lean into that.
I would lean into that. Cool. Thank you so much for your
You're
time and for
welcome.
taking the time to talk with me about this show and for
Thank you.
continuing to write this great show that we all watch.
Thank you. Thank you for doing this. This is really cool. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, All American exists because of the fans, and we're so grateful for every single person that watches this show. And I mean, like, I feel like people that religiously watch it are like all in on it. And like, that is
Yeah.
the biggest compliment you could give any
Yeah.
of us, because behind the scenes, there's 150 plus people that work on this
Right.
show and that
Totally.
love this show and the characters, and
Yeah.
and that love each other. And we want to keep going.
Yeah, for sure,
Yeah.
for sure. Awesome, awesome.
All
And
right,
thank you
Lexi.
all for listening.